Good morning. Well, here we have Brinyte T18 T28. Which one is the most suitable for you? I will say from the outset that both of these torches were supplied to me not by Brinyte to do this promotion or review, or however you'd like to view it, but purely by luck. The T18 was actually given to me by a friend of mine, Dan, the English woodsman. So thank you, Dan, that was very generous. Appreciate that, buddy, thank you. And quite strangely, about a fortnight later, I entered a competition on the Brinyte website or YouTube channel, and I actually won the T28. So I feel I can be quite unbiased, as all my reviews are, and I'm not going to go massively into the whole details of them, performance and specs and things like that, because a lot of people have reviewed them. But a lot of the reviews that I see are just people reading out numbers. I would more like to talk about real world use and what my personal findings are and thoughts after using both of them. So let me move the camera angle so you can see a bit better what's going on, and we'll crack on. Right, I'll just quickly run through the differences between the two. They look quite similar, but there is big differences. The T18 it's nice, it's a good size, it's actually smaller than I thought it was going to be looking at their pictures, which is a bonus. It looked quite chunky on the pictures, but no, it's just a nice size to use. The only thing externally on the torch here to use is the on-off switch on the end there, on the tail, and the fact it's one that you twist to change from flood to zoom. Overall, I like it. I like the look of it. Seems well constructed, pretty good. The little canisters here are interchangeable light units or bulbs, or however you'd like to think of it. I have the white one in there at the moment because that's what I would use the most, but it also comes with a red light and a green light, which I'm sure we're all familiar with from head torches and stuff like that. It also comes with a blue light, which has been quite interesting to use. I quite like the blue light. It's a little bit more intense than the red. You can see a little bit more. Lighting wise, it's probably on par with using a green light. With a bit of research, interestingly, they reckon that the blue light is the closest to moonlight, so that could be an advantage in some situations. It comes with an infrared, so if you're using night vision equipment, be that goggles or scope on a rifle, that'd be very useful. And it also comes with a UV light. Not that I'd be using that one, I wouldn't have a lot of use for it. There is particular applications for UV, but not something that I would need. As I say, just the on-off switch on there and the zooming capability. The rest is with your little remote control. Simple 3-button, on-off in the centre, and a plus and a minus for the beam intensity. So you switch your torch on full power. You can then dim it down if you wish, or of course bring the light back up. It also has a memory function, so if you've left it on dim, switched it off, switch it back on, it'll come back on dim where you left it. That remote actually works up to about 15 feet, or 5 meters, that sort of length. Quite handy, especially if you were using it in a hunting application. You've got the torch mounted on the top of your rifle or whatever. You could either have this in a pocket, or it does come with like double-sided sticky. You could mount it on the side of your gun, above the trigger area maybe. So if you're holding your gun, you haven't got to change position, you could reach up with a finger, switch your light on and off, or adjust it. Very clever. I like that. That is a very good idea. The only drawback for my type of use, which is more about just outdoorsy, wild camping, type of use, is the fact if you want to change the lighting, of course you have to unscrew it, take one light unit out, screw another light unit in. For a hunting application, I don't see that being a problem. Normally, if you're going out hunting, you know what your quarry is, where you're going, what the conditions are going to be like. You'll probably know in advance which light would suit. So you'll probably already have that fitted before you go out. But very good system. I do like it. Okay, let's have a look at the T28. Right, T28, similar size. The difference being this has only 3 light functions: white, green and red, but they're internal. You've just got a simple switch. It's in the white mode, flick it to red, flick it to green. It's as simple as that. For me, personally, the type of use that I would use it for, that's a better idea. The other one, the T18, is very clever, but I don't need all those colours. That's enough for me. Operation is slightly different. You've still got the on-off switch on the tail, but the difference with this one is it's rotary. Therefore, the dimming function can be done here. Very handy. I like that. It does come with a different tail cap, and it has the same buttons as the wireless remote, but of course this one is attached. So you could still have it mounted on a gun with that tail cap screwed in. You've still got your little tape, so you could stick it on the side of your gun. It just means that you've got an extra wire rather than it being wireless. So same functions, same features, just means you're connected. I like this one, I think, more for my personal application. Again, very well made. I do like the look of it. It's not too big. It's nice in the hand. Slightly longer, this one, not by a lot, but I think it's because they've had to make a section here to put the multiple light unit in. That is the only real difference. The head section here is very, very similar, and of course the tail section is very similar because they run off the same battery. They both have the 21 700 rechargeable battery in them. So that is the main difference. The lights are internal with a switch, so you don't have to change out the light units, and it has a dimmer function on the tail. Let's give you a few specs, have them side by side, and I'll give you what I think is the pros and cons. Right, side by side, you can see the slight height difference, as I say, mainly due to the internal lighting of that one. But, you know, diameter that way, they're very much the same. There's not a lot in it, to be perfectly honest. Now, going through the specs, I'm not going to go through all of it, otherwise it would be really boring. But I have written down, so I get it right, the basics. And this is where there's some interesting differences. Beam length. Although in the real world it's not really that important, but just to show the differences, the T18 630 meters, the T28 525, so slightly longer beam length on that one. They both produce 650 lumens. As I said, they both run on the 21 700 rechargeable battery, and when on full power on white, T18 195 minutes on a full charge, the T28 135 minutes. So this will last slightly longer. Seeing as they're running on the same battery and so on, I can only assume it's something to do with the way they've done the light unit. But it's more than enough. Even the 135, the lower one. So you've got over 2 hours on absolute full power. And believe me, they are bright. You don't need it on full power. If you turned it down to a normal torch output, shall I say, obviously it's going to last way longer than that. But yeah, so that is the slight difference in output. I think the difference in range comes down to the lenses. That one's flat, that one's domed. The difference, when I've had them out in the dark with a bit of testing, is the way they're focused. The T28 on flood has a much wider angle. It lights up a much bigger area just in front of you, which I like personally. That is the whole idea of a floodlight after all. The T18, it's decent on flood, but it's not as wide as this. Consequently, when you zoom them both, because the T28 has started wider, on full zoom the beam isn't quite so narrow. You still get a good spotlight with this, but this one is even narrower, a real pencil beam. So that's where the extra range comes from, I believe. Again, it depends whether you really need to light up something that's half a kilometre away. Personally, I don't. So the wider flood with just a decent spot is more suitable for me. This has got slightly better range. Yes, it will light up very well at them long ranges, but at that sort of range, in the dark, could I even clearly identify what I'm lighting up, animal wise, at half a kilometre? I don't know. Maybe paired with a telescopic sight on a rifle, yes, but for the naked eye, you don't really notice a great deal of difference using them in the dark. The only thing that's really noticeable is the flood. As I say, the flood is much wider on the T28. So, in conclusion, how do I view them? How do I see them? For general use, camping, that sort of thing, the T28 would be the one for me. The wider flood, the nice dimmer on the end, simple to use, and the fact that it's very simple to change colours. T18, excellent torch, comes with all the accessories, the remote switch, etc. It's a bit more professional almost. So if I had to categorise them, I would say this is more a general purpose torch with hunting capabilities. This is a hunting torch but with general use capabilities. They do cross over, but I think this one is a little bit more specialised, the T18, and the T28 I think is a more general use torch. There, that's my conclusions. You may not agree, but that is just my personal findings. Anything I've mentioned, people have mentioned, etc., I'll stick the links in the description underneath. Thanks for watching, guys.